Hello and welcome everyone to another review. This time I got in the mood to play an RTS classic from the 2000s, and you don't hear people talk much about this game nowadays. It's called Ground Control and was made by Massive Entertainment in Sweden. It takes place in the far future where two greedy organizations have their dispute in outer space. What made this game so unique back in the days was the fact that there is no base building at all to find here. Instead, you command a small army who needs to get the job done, and while I'm more the turtling player who likes to build an invulnerable fortress, Ground Control is a fun game even without it. So grab a snack and let's get this freak show started.
The Astrid is definitely made for crashing a party. While that Donny ship runs back to its mama, it's time for us to introduce ourselves planet-side, face-to-face like. It'll be my turn next, once these suits and weapons are ready. I'll squeeze my 4 squads into one of those giant metal coffins, and hopefully the pilots will be kind enough to put us down in one piece. It's no joyride though, that's for sure. Been a while since I've done this. Oh, it'll all come back quickly. Always does.
In the far future, two global players, the Craven Corporation and the Order of the New Dawn, fight for resources and power on alien worlds. It is a very dystopian future where the Third World War has almost wiped out the entire human race. But of course, we are not good at learning, so let's continue blowing ourselves up. And as the intro says it very fitting, life is cheap. As a player, you slip into the role of Major Parker, who is an employee of the Craven Corporation. You have been reassigned to Krieg 7B and must use your strategic expertise to expel the Order from this planet. Most of the story is happening during the briefings and short monologues at the end of a mission. You are getting your orders from Director Enrique Hayes, and well, both of you don't really get along. While the presentation is very basic and the pre-rendered cutscenes didn't age that well, the story is actually very entertaining and wants you to know more. Soon you discover a huge conspiracy about alien artifacts that are spread across the planet from a long forgotten race. And because our major is a curious cat, she starts to investigate on her own to find out what the hell is going on here. But what caught me off guard was the fact that after you are finished with the Craven campaign, the game goes actually into overtime and let you now play the Order as Deacon Stone. And I have to say, I didn't really expect that twist. After 50 missions I thought to myself, okay, that's probably it. The game was a bit short, but hey, it was fun. But no, you are only halfway through the game, my friend. And the whole plot about these alien towers you found needs still to be cracked wide open. I also like the shift of the mood here. After you have almost annihilated the Order from the whole planet, you now command the few remaining survivors and have to use guerrilla tactics to get back into the game. So all the victories you achieved previously will now stab you in the back. Overall, for a strategy game, this was a surprisingly good story. If they ever do a remake of this, then for the love of God, make the cutscenes look similar to the Halo 2 remake. Now that would be rad.
As of this moment, all members of the Pax Day will cease offensive operations against the Craven Corporation. These relics are works of God, and it is sacrilege to continue to spill blood over them. They are the property of all creatures under the sun.
As mentioned in the beginning, this strategy game does not feature any base building or research management system. Before a mission starts, you can configure your dropships with the units you want to lead into battle. At the start, this selection is quite small, but more units are unlocked later. Besides choosing your squads, you can also change their attributes and equipment. These can only be used a specific number of times during the battle, so use them wisely. But one of the major complaints I have about these skills is that you cannot activate them simultaneously when 2 or more squads are selected. This can be annoying and frustrating when, for example, you have 2 of your attack aerodynes selected and want to use their energy shields to absorb incoming attacks. But instead you have to select them one by one, and by the time you did that, most of these aerodynes are badly damaged or even destroyed. After you are done configuring your army, you go down to the planet's surface and the action begins. The heart of your army is your APC. If it is destroyed, then the mission is over, so keep an eye on it. You can load infantry units inside it for faster transport, and it is also capable of repairing your troops. But the process is a bit slow, and you have to park your APC manually beside the friendly unit to activate it. Before you venture off into the unknown, it is highly recommended to use scouts and check the perimeter for any troublemaker. The enemy likes to set up traps, especially these goddamn anti-air turrets are everywhere, so use your scouts first and then bring the rest of your party. The lack of reinforcements means also that every decision you make has to be carefully evaluated. But this is one of the reasons why this game is so fucking great. Each mission is an intense experience that keeps you on the edge, and to add even more pressure on you, there is no quick saving allowed in this game. When you start a mission, you have to fight it to the end or it won't count. But to say the truth, I'm glad that there is no saving function here. Let's be honest guys, if there would be a quick save button, then we all know how this game would have ended. We would just save the game whenever we killed an enemy tank and reload each time when one of our units dies. But I have news for you, that is cheating. So when you are fucked up here, then you have two options. Restart the complete mission, or bite into the sore apple and carry on with what is left of your army and start thinking outside the box, because the plan you had in mind won't work anymore, and now you have to come up with a new one. But don't worry if you are not a strategic mastermind. You can always change the difficulty before a mission starts. A good tip in general, try to cut off the power supply of their main base so the defense turrets will be deactivated. Mission-wise, there is not much variation to see here. Most objectives repeat itself after a while. What you will do most is to destroy enemy bases, defend friendly ones, or escort some technicians. My absolute hate mission was number 14 in the Craven campaign. By this point you have unlocked all 3 dropships that you can load with units of your liking. But guess what? The developers wanted to spice things up and gives you only 1 ship at the start. If you want more, then you have to destroy a communication relay. But the whole map layout is fucking insane. The enemy has bases all around the map on some mountains that can only be entered by one side. And of course, every one of these is protected by cannons and anti-air turrets, so you have to be a little bit creative. And I can tell you, this mission went on for forever, and I didn't even think that I would make it out alive here. At the end of this odyssey, I had barely any units left. My whole air support was destroyed and most of my tanks as well. But somehow I managed to get the shit done, even while I was hopelessly outnumbered. Your best friend or greatest enemy in the game is the Terran itself. Positioning your troops the right way can make a huge difference between life and death. Even the tiniest hill can change the course of action here. You can only see enemy troops when your army can see them as well. Should there be even the slightest elevation in front of them, then that means these enemy troops are invisible for you. That also means that bullets can miss their targets or hit the ground. And look out for friendly fire. Your units have a habit to shoot each other no matter what. Formations can make your life easier to get your troops out of the firing line or to navigate them on narrow terrain. But what could have needed some improvements is the pathfinding. Your army is smart enough that if you click on a mountain, that they will find their own way up there without needing guidance from you. But what they can't do that well is get out of the fucking way. They always get stuck in each other. This becomes even more ridiculous if you try to place your infantry inside your APC. Sometimes they will just run away for no goddamn reason. What I found quite surprising after replaying this game was the fact that some locations of the mission objectives are actually randomized, like in this mission here, where you have to destroy a damaged satellite, so look out for that too. While the campaign is quite long and entertaining, a major flaw in this game is the lack of a skirmish mode. Now I like myself having a melee fight against the enemy on different maps, but the multiplayer portion is only available against the real opponent. And with the servers now long gone, there isn't much to do here once the story is over. But we cannot talk about ground control without mentioning the most famous unit in the whole game. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the artillery. And this is not just any artillery. It is the best fucking one I have ever seen in a video game. These babies get shit done. As you can expect from a game that is 20 years old, the graphics look a bit blocky, and while the maps are very huge, they are not much detailed in comparison to Warcraft 3 and often don't look very organic to me. But even with the dated graphics, Ground Control does an excellent job to immerse you into its world, thanks to the free moving camera. You can zoom in pretty close to almost feel like an ant, and this can lead to epic sceneries where your army is marching to a new location or artillery shots are arising from the horizon. But the variation of the terrain you are competing on is a bit lackluster. You will take the fights with the desert, jungle and snow. There are no gameplay changes that come with these environments, and often it just feels like they swept out the ground texture for another one. The only time where it felt kinda unique was when you had to defend some bridges over an unstable volcano, but beyond that, it will be pretty much wide open space for you. Sometimes the whole fucking map can even be just one giant base to destroy. I can tell you, while this game doesn't have any base building to offer, the developers still love to build them in the goddamn map editor. You probably know by now that I have an obsession for good video game music, and Ground Control is no exception here. The music is very epic and majestic and sets you in the right mood when you're storming against your enemy or think about your next battle plans. But sadly, not every mission has music in it for some reason. I don't know if the developers forget to implement them or it was intentional, but sometimes you have to appreciate the quiet. And with that, we once again reach the end of another review. Ground Control is a pretty epic game with epic fights, great music and a very unique gameplay that is fun to play but also very intense because of the lack of quick saving. The story is also not to be overlooked and keeps you engaged. With certain missions, I would say that the game will keep you busy for a while. So should you be in the mood for a strategy game next time and you haven't played Ground Control before, then give it a try. You definitely get your money worth. So good night to you and maybe until next time.
You are a fool and a heretic, Stone. You cannot defy my will, for it is the will of God. Surrender now, and only you will suffer purification. Your troops will go free. These new crusaders will bring me your head, Deacon Stone. Weakness like yours is exactly why we must pursue Project Garm. All but the true believers must be expunged from the galaxy.